Welcome to Lashback, everyone. Happy New Year! I'm Natalyan.
And I'm Phoebe. How was your holidays, Nat?
Oh, it's fantastic. I spent my first Christmas holiday season in the UK since 2017, and it was epic to be around my fellow Brits. I missed my American counterparts, but I had such a wonderful time. And now I'm like looking to, what's next? What's 2025 going to bring? So, how do you see the topic of New Year's resolutions? And I have some quick Googled facts here, but I want to know your thoughts, Phoebe, and then I can throw them in.
Well, for me, winter solstice, like I was saying last week, is sort of like the pagan New Year and the time to look back and look forward and stuff. And I kind of see New Year's Eve as the last blowout before, some kind of
Yeah.
detox,
Absolutely. Well,
Partying too much.
yeah, although I've always said that detoxing in January's, it's a good thing to do. Go ahead and do that. But January's the time when you probably need to be around your friends and not detoxing because you're like, oh, Christmas is over. It's freezing. It's dark. It's,
No more
yeah.
Christmas lights.
Yeah, it's kind of that period's over. But what an interesting fact, and again, I'm just Googling facts here, so they are what they are. And I've got one here that I find really hilarious is an average of 44% of Americans make a New Year's resolution before the night is over. Only 31% of people stick with the promises they've made to themselves the prior year, and a whopping 81% fail by February. The four most popular types of goals people set are to exercise, eat well, lose weight, and save money. But there's also a known day, according to Google, called Quitter's Day, which is the second Friday in January, is known as Quitter's Day. And most people throw in the towel on their New Year's resolution, so by the 12th of January, which is hilarious.
That rings true for me, actually. That rings true
Yeah.
for me.
Well, I
Really
always
hard
say,
it's really hard to come up with like a kind of detox goal on the 1st of January when you're really hungover. It's like, give me the food, I'll have hair of the dog. Now, I'm sounding like I'm a big drinker here, and I'm not really. But there is something about New Year's Eve parties that's a huge
yeah.
cultural thing. And I tend to find them really difficult. Like, do you throw a party? Do you commit months in advance to the ticket you need to buy for the party? Do you see what's happening on the night? There have been some years I have gone to like 4 different parties in one night.
Yeah.
And I always much prefer it when I've got a gig, because at least I can say I'm working.
Um,
I'm working. You
yeah.
can see me, or I'll just be on stage singing, probably in this jacket. And like that's my plan. That's my plan. That's what I'm doing, and I don't want to talk about it. So there's a bit of a commitment phobe, you might say.
I think we are like that, you and me.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out is absolutely key, which goes back to our episode 1 of acronyms, FOMO, fear of missing out. I always tend to think my expectations of New Year's Eve are not achievable. I don't know what I expect to happen at midnight,
Yeah.
but I always feel a little bit disheartened. One is that, you're trying to get all these
January.
tickets. Yeah, it's January and you're trying to get all these tickets, and it's like, well, I come in your pub every day or every week all year, and then suddenly you're charging me 25, 30 pounds to come in your pub, and I can't even get a drink because it's so busy. But you should be rewarding your customers. And I also find as the years have gone on that they have the big countdown, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. Right, we're closed. I'm like, where do I go? I can't go home. I'm electrified. I'm full of energy now because I've been trying to stay awake. What do I do now? So I think house parties are the way to go, is my long-winded point.
I like a house party. In London, the public transport is free all night. So in a way,
Mm,
that can be quite fun. I have had some of the best times just having a banter with strangers, other members of the public on the
on the
night
bus.
or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
although,
Oh, brilliant.
yeah, that's kind of nice. There is something about New Year's Eve which kind of breaks down a barrier of um, You know,
It
you
does.
don't necessarily say hello to somebody on the street when you're walking past, but on New Year's Eve, everybody's celebrating the same party. So it's like,
Yeah, it
oh,
brings you together.
yeah, it's kind of it's a nice camaraderie to be out and about.
Love it.
I have a
I
feeling
love
that
it.
this year I'm going to be at home in my pajamas.
No, Phoebe. Phoebe, we'll talk about that later. But I have actually the last, as I've mentioned in the last episode, and in this episode, that I've spent my first Christmas in the UK and New Year's upcoming, and in America where I live in the South. I think I've gone out once on New Year's Eve, but I've been home before the countdown to be with my puppy.
Brilliant.
And all my friends are like, it's too cold, you know, especially being, you know, from the South and everyone likes the warm. And it's just too complicated to find somewhere to go. So I've generally been at home, which has been good. You know, loads of food and kind of spend time with my puppy and enjoy it and watch Dolly Parton. She does a great New Year's show, which I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
So really kind of
Dolly.
embellish that. Yeah, love Dolly, absolutely. I wish she was my grandma. Um, and but in London, I don't think I've ever stayed in on a New Year's. It's such a big thing
It is.
for me anyway. But I do get the problem of, which is greedy. I have so many different options that I don't want to commit to them, like you said, which is really rude. I'm like, yeah, I might come. I might come to yours. Yeah.
Turn up
But I
somewhere
might, and then
tentatively.
yeah, exactly. And then I'm like hopping around. I've got to go. I've got to go and see them. Especially because I'm not in the country a lot, which is really rude. You should just commit. But I'm scared of committing and then missing out on something better.
But it's a funny thing that about, you know, we talk FOMO, we talk too many options, overstimulation. These are all like really massive things, aren't they, in today's society? There's too many options. There's loads of choice. Some of the one
Yeah.
of the best New Year's Eves I ever had was when my good friend's kids were really really young. So you know the kids are going to bed at 8. They were like 3 and 2 or something. Kids are going to
Wow.
go to bed
Yeah.
at 8. So they said, "Come round. We're sitting on babies," as they always called it. We'll get a Chinese takeout, which you had to order in good time because everyone's really busy. We had a dinner, and then we played a board game, and we got, you know, a couple of glasses of wine, and it was all very lovely. I walked home, you know, at 1 in the morning. It felt very civilized. Although I was
And then you
probably
woke
at
up.
that time
Yeah.
probably only about 28 or whatever. So, um, yeah, it's a bit of a thing. Yeah, it's a bit of a thing. There've been other years where I've stayed in on my own, or I've been traveling back from somewhere, and I thought I could go out to one of those parties, but actually I'm just really happy that I'm home now, and I'm looking out my window at the fireworks. That's something else people do in London, actually.
I
Nice
do.
little tradition going up to the top of Hampstead Heath, which is north on the north hill of the valley that is London. It's a really big walk.
I
You
love
go
it.
up there and you see the whole of London, and you see all of the New Year's Eve fireworks, but not with the massive crowds down on the Thames.
Oh,
You just
yeah.
see it, and all the little ones that people are doing in their back gardens. You know, it's
Oh,
kind of a
that's
cool
brilliant.
thing
I've
to
never
do.
done that. I've never done that. I've obviously been there with you, I believe, as well, but I've never
Did a
done that on
big
New
one,
Year's
yeah,
Eve,
didn't
which
we?
would be, yeah. I literally need to do that though, because that sounds perfect. As long as you're wrapped up warm and you've got some drinks with you, got a few snacks, got some music, obviously, we've got some guitars. We always do the jamming, don't we, as
Yeah,
musicians? But I think that's perfect because I'm not a fan of big crowds, and the older I get, the worse I get with that.
same. I
You
like
know,
the
the
crowd if
only
I'm on
problem
stage and they're out there.
yeah,
If I'm in the crowd,
absolutely.
I'm like, oh no, nobody's
No,
seeing
but
me.
I think we were at a gig quite recently when I was last in London, and it was just jammed, and you and me were just like. But the Irish gig, which was fantastic, but
That was
that's
a
a
really
different
good
topic.
gig. Yeah, that was
That was a really good night as well.
yeah.
But so what's your have you got any resolutions then?
Oh
Big,
God.
small, funny, serious?
Again, you know, committing to something, you know, it's only a couple of days away, but you know, I haven't committed. I think I've got quite a lot of work on in the year to come, and I think something I've learned this year is pacing myself, looking after myself, making sure that the connections and relationships that I've got are, you know, nurturing and not draining. And I think I'm just going to get my head down. I've got to write an album and record an album this year as part of my masters. So
Love it.
I haven't booked any gigs this Christmas, first time in a really, really long time, New Year's Eve as well. And just rest, reflect, get the job done, really. Got sort of quite a few bits and pieces in the pipeline that require time, attention, and power. I'm going to do that. And maybe I'll get a holiday. It's funny when we say holiday season, something you always say, you know, don't like calling Christmas and New Year the holiday season because a holiday involves a beach. And I'm like,
Yes, I
beach.
struggle.
I would love to go.
Yeah, I know. I'm the minute Christmas is over, so the 1st of Jan, I'm ready for that. I'm done with winter. The only thing I like about winter is the Christmas season, and that, well, the lead up to it as well. You know, you've got all your different things, your Halloween, your Thanksgiving. You got, you know, you'll get. It's just an exciting period. End of year, New Year. For me, in terms of New Year's resolutions, I don't think I've ever made a specific list of New Year's resolutions. But what I do, which I would strongly advise because it really works for me, is a vision board.
Oh, yeah.
So I have some stories there. Like the last house that I bought, I had on a vision board that year. And when I put it on that vision board, it was for way in the future. I thought, this is a pretty house. And I just saw it and put it on the board. And then this was the pandemic year. And I ended up buying a house, not even realizing, because actually that vision board had moved to another room that I didn't really use as an interim and then stayed there. So I wasn't actually seeing it every day. And then I went back to look at it when I was packing up to move, and it looked exactly the same.
Wow. Manifesting is
Yeah,
quite a thing, isn't it? We should have
yeah,
a topic on that one day. It's quite
yeah,
a thing.
yeah.
You know, there's a lot of science behind positive thought and what that actually does for us psychologically,
Big
as well
time.
as a lot of kind of what some people might call hippie woo woo around, you know, setting intentions and watching them come forward to you. But you know, there is a real power in setting an intention. There is something that it codes within your brain and your being that means that, you know, even those all those tiny little micro decisions that you don't even know you're making kind of lead towards
Yeah. How you
that.
kind of get there, right?
Yeah, kind of lead toward that thing that you've visioned. I have a vision board actually, which I did. It's got a really, really ambitious vision board, just a load of pictures
My
a
too.
couple of years ago. And I was looking at it today actually, and I was about 4 or 5 of the pictures like, oh God, I think I've done that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I was like, oh,
yeah,
and it wasn't
mine's
the
got.
case that
I think.
I hadn't
Yeah.
like been like constantly looking at the vision board going, what shall I do today? But I just had this little
Yeah.
moment of going, oh, actually, I think
It's
that's done.
that's done. Yeah. Yeah. And
Or at
my
least
vision board.
developing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, you've moved, and it's not an exact science, right? It's not going to be exact. That's not
No.
what a vision board is. And a vision board as well should have, not should have, you can do what you want. But for me, I have a number of things that could be seen as materialistic, but, you know, where I want to feel and how I want to be in my place as a journey of who I am as a person as well. And when I looked at my last vision board, because I've been a bit lapse on that this year for various reasons and moving and life changes, big life changes, that I looked at my vision board, which hasn't got a place in my new home because I moved again.
You're always
But you
moving.
can, there are, of, you know, 12 things. Over 50% of them are done, and I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to the vision board component for this year. And I think to your point about, you know, doing things that feel right for you at the right pace, I think a key resolution for me is finally listening to myself and trusting my instincts on certain things of work that I do in the business world and the music world,
Yeah.
and not what's the word, putting up with what I shouldn't put up with, and also not
Boundaries.
trusting myself enough because of others. You know, you have to believe in yourself. You have to be a good person. You have to do things professionally and the correct way, but you stand up for your rights and stand up for what you want to do. And you know, it's not money orientated for me. It's about doing the things that I want to do, but have had a slight fear. Even this podcast is one thing that we were going to leave to the new year, right? But we decided no. A resolution can be at any point of the year, right? And we have big resolutions for this, and we are holding true to who we are with this podcast, and that is one component for me.
There is a question, isn't there? Is it success if your mental health and physical well-being has suffered. Is that success?
That's such a good point. That's such a good
It's not.
point.
You know,
For me,
you've broken your back to get something that you thought you wanted. And we were talking about this the other week, weren't we? Like, you know, I might have wanted this then, and I've changed the person, and now I want something different now. And that's okay. And it's a bit like your New Year's Eve plans as well. You say, everyone's going out, I should go out. But what if you don't want to? You know, just
yeah,
do
yeah.
what you want to do. And be, like you say, true to yourself and true to your heart. I always think, you know, kindness is paramount. And if we can't be kind to ourselves, then we actually can't be kind to anyone else. And
Yeah.
I think it's really, 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 really important to be kind to other people. And in order to be kind to other people, and considerate of them and all of that kind of thing, we have to develop that as a skill. And how do we develop that as a skill? By being kind and considerate to ourselves. It always starts.
Well, if you're not kind to yourself, yeah. If you're not kind to yourself and you're not in a you know the wanted mental state, generally speaking, you know, we all have our good and bad days, then you can't, you know, you can't give that out, because it starts at home, right? It starts at home. And also you can't, you know, I always say this, you know, people always say this, that, you know, be happy with yourself before bringing someone else in. And you also reflect how you're feeling. Big believer in that. So you have to, for me, 2025 is, I don't like to put too grand plans on, because then I feel disappointed in myself. I think it's key to be careful
with the suffering.
Yeah, because then you're like, oh, I didn't do that. But actually, Natalyan, you had, you know, conquer the world on your list. Right? And I think you've even said that to me before, Phoebe. I'm like, I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve this week, Phoebe. And you're like, but Natalie, the things you have on your list are insane.
Totally. It's funny as well that I've been doing a lot of line, you know, I'm wearing my gold singer jacket, but let's talk business for a while. I've been doing a lot of work around line management at the moment, you know, guidance, support, training, behaviours, culture, that kind of thing, you know. And it's true that if you do have a job within a hierarchy, your line management approach, or your line manager, has a great impact on whether you like your job, do your job, feel good in yourself, whatever. And I was doing a large piece of consultation, and I was talking to a chap who said he hadn't had a sick day in 15 years. And I, in the back of my mind, remember the conversation I had with one of his staff members about how they found their boss really hard to work for. So
there you go.
Take a sick day, mate. It's okay.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what. So I'm not saying be sick, but you know, the word sick's quite broad. You know,
absolutely. Sometimes I just don't feel like it, and I think if I don't feel like it, that's because my energy is depleted. And I should listen to that. I won't do a good job if my energy is depleted. So why am I pushing? It's not success.
Absolutely. And like going to the point of stuff you've been working on in the business world this week, I too have in my business, with my business hat on, in the experience management component, like are your employees having a good experience from the day one being onboarded to being offboarded, right? And how they're feeling on a daily interaction, and trying to kind of explain that emotion. And you know, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's the journey, not the destination. And if what you're trying to achieve with your resolution is to have this, but to get from here to here, it's horrific. What's the point?
What's the point?
There's no point, because that's the journey is 99% of it. The destination is 1%.
We live in it now, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I just I'm massive in that for 2025, or in every year. And I think my vision board has got more wisdom going into it. And I tend to do my vision board on 1st of January, by the way. I've been doing that for years, because it helps bring me together in that, it's January, you know. So okay,
I just celebrated the 1st of January.
Yes. Yeah, but this helps bring it together. And I, you know, put on a Christmas movie, because I drag that out as long as possible, because I love Christmas movies. And you know, print out loads of things and cut them up like a kid. That's how you can do it in any way you want, but that's how I tend to do it, and that really brings me back together. So I'm going to definitely be doing that on the 1st of Jan.
Yes. And on that note, we're at our time. So, listeners, tell us what's on your vision board, what your New Year's resolutions, what your funny
Yeah.
stories of
Yes.
silly resolutions that, and have you kept to them? What have you kept to the resolutions that you did last year, and all of that? It's been fabulous to
Yeah.
be here.
Agreed. Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know. Not just the typical ones of I'm going to the gym, because the gym one, if gyms actually had full attendance, they'd have a problem, right? But funny resolutions as well. We want to hear about them all. The funny ones, the serious ones, but funny ones like I want to drink all the coffees at Starbucks next year. Well, I want to try every chocolate in the world. We want to hear it all. So feedback to us, and we will see you next week.
See you next week. Big love.
See you later.